Yo, Shalom. So, this is a late lesson. Been a little sick lately, but we're gonna do a little reading. It's not gonna be nothing heavy. We're just gonna kind of do a little reading on iconoclasm, things of that nature. Um, yeah, my camera's connected to my laptop, so if you're wondering why you're looking at me from the bottom, that's why. But that's not important because if you need to see something, I will share my screen. So, actually, you know what? Mm-mm-mm. To infinity. All right, it's not good yet. Anyway, so whatever we need, I guess we will share it on the other screen. That works. Okay, cool. So don't need that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna go ahead and sign in. Just gonna say Shalom, call Halal Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That means all praises to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai. Right? I'm coming in with a quick lesson tonight. It's not going to be any longer than an hour because it's actually about 3 in the morning. But we're going to read a few excerpts from a few books. We're going to look at some pictures. As a matter of fact, yeah, we're going to look at a few pictures. Let me see if I can find this book real quick, though. One second. So, in case any of y'all are still trying to look up pictures and books and things of that nature on Google, in case you haven't noticed, they have made it near impossible to find images now. Um, Basically, all Google is doing is looping back to just a handful of mainstream sites. So I use DuckDuckGo. All right, it's a lot easier to find books. Um, and there's a website. I'm gonna put it in the description. I'm really new to YouTube, by the way. Despite my channel's age, I really don't be on here like that. So if I use the wrong terminology or I get something wrong, hey, my bad, y'all. It's locked. But I use a site called Anna's Archive. All right. So if you need to find a book, there's a good chance it's going to be on there. And now they're even doing little tricks where, like, I just copied a statement, um, or I selected a statement from Google and it gave me something else, like it truncated what I just selected. So, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. In the case of this book, I'll just hold up the camera since I do have the book. But let's go ahead and get started, right? I'm going to open up a little thing up here. Now, I know some people are saying, well, why do you make it a big deal to talk about the likeness of Yahushua, to stress on how he looked, right? Well, the Bible lets you know, right? The Bible lets you know that it's important, right? Because if you don't believe on the Messiah as the Bible speaks of him and describes his likeness, then you are speaking lies, right? But let's go ahead and read it out of John 7:38. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water, right? So he who believes on Christ, so called Jesus Christ, you need to believe on the Messiah as he is described in the Bible, right? So we're going to read a few things that substantiate the description of not just Yahushua, but it's going to substantiate the description of many Israelites throughout the Bible. All right. So we're not trying to make this too long. So let's go ahead and get into it. For this, I am going to go into my Bible. I'll pull up the scripture so y'all can follow along. As a matter of fact, let me get that ready. But we're going to go to Revelations 1 first, and then we're going to go to the book of Daniel, and then we're going to go to a couple of places in the Bible just to show that just as the king of the Jews looked, so did his people look also. Right? Let me go ahead and make this up. And yeah, there's going to be a little bit of delay when I pull scriptures because I'm getting it in two places. So y'all can read along with me. Cool. I'm gonna start at Revelations 1:1, and then I'm gonna go to 12, right? Because we need to understand what the first chapter of Revelation is about. This is Revelation 1:1, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ, and of all things that he saw. So this whole first chapter is literally for, well, actually, this whole book really is for John to write down everything that he heard and that he saw involving this vision, this revelation, right? So he's being ordered in the spirit to record these things, okay? Record them for generations to come, that his witness can basically be a foundation for the Israelites that would come after. Because you have to understand, all of these things are done for our learning. As a matter of fact, quick. Right, so this is Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So, what people on the planet are as hopeless as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? That's an easy question to answer, and that is no one. We are the most hopeless people on the planet, and we illustrate that every day by our behaviors, by the things that we hold dear and important to us, how we have broken families. Most like there's a good lot of us that don't even know who our fathers are, disproportionately so. It's to the point where we are a laughing stock to all nations. So we need hope. And what better thing to give us hope than to find out that the Bible is literally a book that was written about us and to us, right? But with that said, let's read on about the likeness of Christ. This is Revelation chapter 1 and verse 12. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. So this figure that John saw had white, woolly hair, white in color, woolly in texture, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So, what is the color of brass? So, we're going to bring this up because a lot of times when we teach on the street, we'll ask people this question, and all of a sudden, people want to turn into, impromptu lawyers and start pretending like, oh, well, brass could be yellow. Uh, there's certain occasions where, I've heard Edomites say that brass is some type of like offshoot of white. That they will lie to your face. So it's important. Oops. Spell gas. All right. So we see a goldish color, right? But we also see brass coming in brown. So it's a brownish golden color. Right? Now we're gonna do something here. Burnt brass. That's burnt grass. That's burnt grass. That's burnt grass. That's a really excellent example of burnt grass. But you get the gist of what I'm saying, right? This is a very dark brown color. Now, if you saw somebody who looked like this, would you call them a white person? Probably not. So, where does this image come from? And I'm going to bring it up here. Do I have it on my computer? So, where did this guy come from? Well, because the image on the right, that's who they call Jesus Christ. Right? That's who they call Jesus. So, where did that image come from? Well, the man on the left is Cesare Borgia. He's the son of Alexander the Sixth Pope of Rome, whose real name was Rodrigo Borgia, the head of the Borgia crime syndicate. Cesare Borgia, he murdered his own brother. He slept with his own sister. He also slept with some of the Renaissance painters like Leonardo and all them. So he was also a homosexual. Um, and there's rumors that he was also a pedophile. Now, considering that my channel has 2 strikes, I'm going to omit my additional commentary on how he is the iconic mascot for the Edomites. Note that I didn't say that he is. I'm just going to say I'm not going to put that in here. Take of that what you will. But let's reread this again. So we're going to look at this image, and then I'm going to bring up another picture, right? And we're going to compare the two, right? Because now the pictures of Yahushai are starting to show in a lot of different places. I hate pictures. I wonder, is it actually larger? Yeah, this is why I hate Pinterest. I can open it like that. There we go. Right, that'll work. So, get this image out your head right now. I want you to focus on this image, right? The real so-called Christ that they give you. And we're going to read this in Revelation one more time. This is Revelations 1:12. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. Is that white woolly hair? Or is that doggy, dead, stringy hair? That probably smells like bologna and old like chips or something. I don't know. A lot of them folks don't like to bathe. But anyway, as white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. Now, you can say 2 things, right? You could say his eyes were supposed to be striking or fierce looking, or you can basically deduce that, his eyes were supposed to be red because Yahushua, while he was upon the earth, he drank wine. All right, so he was a wine bibber. Either way, this doe-eyed Edomite here does not bear the resemblance of anything in Revelations 1 thus far. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. This man does not bear any likeness to the description of Christ in the Bible. I want to read something before we move on, because it's very important that we understand that the hijack of our image was well in progress before the Romans ever even took us into captivity. We have to understand something, all right? The heathen have always been trying to make headway into the covenants that the Most High God made with his people. You have to understand that they have never allowed us to simply exist and serve our God in peace. And as a result, if they couldn't get in by way of agreement by us. Their objective was to force their way in, and that's exactly what they aimed to do. So I'm gonna read two things real quick to substantiate what I'm saying here. Give me 1 second to bring it all up. Yes, there we go. So we're gonna go to Ezra 4, and then we're gonna go to First Maccabees 3 and 48. Right. Let me bring it up here for y'all. Now, considering what I just read in Revelations 1, we see the image of what somebody has made to portray Yahweh Shai. That looks far more accurate. Hair like lamb's wool, of the pure white, eyes as a flame of fire, very striking, fierce eyes. Look at that skin, that beautiful black melanated skin. And by looking at this brother, he probably loud as hell. Right? That's one thing black folks are known for. And that's being loud. And this brother doesn't look like he's an exception. Right? But moving on. Let's go ahead and get the scripture up. Because we have to understand that, again, the hijack has always been in full effect. And what they couldn't paint over, they tried to outright destroy. I'm going to pull up an image that's going to show you, right, the rigors of iconoclasm. See, these are some of the things that they will never teach you about in history, especially concerning the Renaissance. What they're going to tell you is all of a sudden there was this huge burst of creativity, and people like Leonardo da Vinci were doing everything from world-class paintings to being a master of architecture to inventing helicopters and all of these basically newly pioneered technologies that had not yet been explored. All of a sudden, this one man is responsible for all these things. But yet, Renaissance means rebirth. So, you mean to tell me that these people all of a sudden just became geniuses overnight? Highly unlikely. But we're going to look more into this. But let's read this here. All right. This is First Maccabees 3 and 48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their image. So somebody, some heathen, they had basically destroyed our temple. And when we came back into our temple, because our people had risen up and begun to rebel against the Greeks, when we came into our temple, we laid open one of our books of the law, likely the Torah, right? But we laid open one of our books, and we had already begun to see the heathen attempting to paint themselves into our book. You have to understand that being chosen by the Most High God is a highly coveted position. So much so that the people who are actually chosen by God have been given all types of monikers, names, pejoratives in place of their God-given tribal names, right? The names of our patriarchs, of whom we descend from. They have completely omitted us from written history by destroying the history that was written by our ancestors, or perverting it to reflect their image, right? I'm going to go back into Ezra, where we're going to see them attempting to do just that. And actually, before I do that, I want to go to First Maccabees 1, because I want to demonstrate who's in power at this time. Right. This is First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian. This is Alexander the Greek, a well-known Edomite or Idumean. Well known. It's not even contested that this is a so-called white man, right? Who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. That's the reason why I went on to do that, right? Because as wicked as Alexander the Greek was known to be, right? Known to be a drunkard, known to have fits of rage, he killed someone known as Cletus the Black, whose moniker in those days, because you got to remember the word so called Niger, Nigr, is the Latin way that you say black. The Greeks spoke Latin. So this man that he killed was named Cletus the Nigger, right? Cletus the Nigger was also the right hand man or one of the leading generals of his father, Philip. So after Alexander had come to power, Cletus the Black basically was the brains behind Alexander's operations militarily, right? Alexander the Greek also had a wet nurse named, I believe it's Linnaeus, or yeah, I think it's Linnaeus. 1 second. I don't know how to spell it. Is that how you spell it? Yeah. Right here. Okay. But this person was a slave, all right? Typically, you don't enslave your own women to be wet nurses. Not to mention, the Edomites typically don't wouldn't want another Edomite woman being a wet nurse anyway, considering that out of all the women on the planet, they produce the least amount of milk, and the milk that they do produce is the least in nutrition for the baby. There's a reason why coming out of slavery, the Edomites were a very powerful people. And that's because our women were nursing their children often before they nursed their own, right? But I just wanted to somewhat go into that. I was hoping to find a picture of her, but I can't remember how to spell her name. But if it comes back to me, I'll get on it. But I want to read this in Ezra real quick. All right. So we're gonna go to Ezra 4. Because we need to demonstrate that the heathen have always been trying to come unto us and join themselves to us, right? They've been trying to join themselves to us and get in on the covenants that have been made between the Most High God and the Israelites. But this is Ezra chapter 4 and verse 1. Now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, got the Bible all up in the camera. Anyway, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Asar-Haddon, king of Assur, which brought us up hither. So they were worshiping Yahweh. Now, do you think they were worshiping Yahweh according to the laws of the Bible? Likely not. And there's a reason why I say that. And we're going to come on right on back to this, but we got to prove what we say. All right. And the reason why I say they likely weren't is because the Bible tells you that they didn't. There's no way they could, because they were never given the law. This is Psalms 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Now, we see this played out in today's world. Say if you're a brother who goes out and teaches, or you're a sister who likes to talk to people about the Bible, and you have a particularly zealous heathen come up to you and begin talking about how they love God and they go to church, and they like to volunteer at soup kitchens and do volunteer work, and they're righteous, and that's how they think to serve God. But when you ask them, hey, do you keep the law? Do you keep the Sabbath? Where are your fringes at? Where's your beard at? If you're a woman, where's your womanly apparel? All of a sudden, they'll tell you the law is done away with. But the reason why they do that is because this is how they serve God. They serve God according to their own heart because they were never given the law. And not to mention the Most High God, he couldn't care less if they serving him or not right now, because now is not the time for them to serve the Most High God. But I just wanted to bring that out so we understand that these people professing that they serve Yahweh, they serve Yahweh according to their own desires, according to the whims of their own heart and mind. Right? But I'm gonna reread it and we're gonna move on with it. Right? This is Ezra 4:1. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Assur, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, you have nothing to do with us, to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, hath commanded us. So our people in their right minds told them to kick rocks. Now I wonder why they did that. Could it have been that perhaps the heathen had ulterior motives? I wonder. Well, we're going to see in the very next verse what they immediately fell back on, seeing as they were rejected by the actual Israelites. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. Anybody who's doing the work right now and going out to the street corners, I'm going to tell you, these heathen are trying to weaken your hands. They're trying to impede the work. Don't get too in deep or in depth into a conversation with your people, because an Edomite will show up, or an Ethiopian, or a Moabite, so-called Chinese man, Ammonite, people that you ain't never seen in the neighborhood or in your city ever. All of a sudden, here they come, like they teleported or some shit. And they want to talk, and they want to talk immediately. They're not trying to wait. They're not trying to go, hey, let me speak to you. They're trying to interrupt what you're doing for your people so that they can jump the queue and get your attention to trouble you in building. So we see the behaviors of yesterday are the same as today. So with that being said, we're going to reread this, and I'm going to put the basically the photo of good old Caesar up on the screen, right, as I read. I'm going to try to put it at the top so y'all can see it too right here. Bam. Right, so let me get Caesar. All right. This is First Maccabees 3:48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their image. We see that they largely succeeded. Right? That's why there's a covering cast that has covered the whole earth. And we are going to go back into this lesson to demonstrate that Yahweh's likeness is spoken of in the Old Testament. We're going to go and we're going to see the likeness of the Israelites spoken of throughout the Bible. And then we're going to pull out some iconography, right, from some of these books. Because like I said, it's getting harder and harder to find these photos online. To any of you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people who know that you're Israelites, you need to understand time is not on your side. And if you are not very well versed in these scriptures, If you don't know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you are the people of the Bible, your time is running out to substantiate that, because your enemies are doing a very good job of limiting access to certain books and erasing certain trails to sites. Now it's getting harder to get them up on searches. And it's not just Google that's having this problem. It's starting to go all over the internet, because what's happening? The covering cast is being taken off of the earth. And people are starting to find out who the son of perdition is. Right? So let's get those scriptures up real quick. That's the first Thessalonians, right? It's one thing I will say about the King James Bible site. Their search sucks. But, second Thessalonians. There it is. Cool. Thessalonians, This is Second Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. The man of sin? Well, who are the most sinful people on the planet? Who are the people leading in things like child trafficking, pedophilia, land theft, genocide? The Most High God has done us an amazing marvel by pointing out Amalek today as all of those things. Right now, they're trying to wipe out the inhabitants of the Gaza Strip. And they're saying that they are going to wipe out Amalek. Isn't that ironic? Anybody who's basically against them, they deem Amalek. Not understanding that Amalek was the progenitor of the chief house of the Edomites, whom they are. Right? But let's read on. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Oh, that's what that is, huh? This right here, that's what that is? Showing that he is God. Now, Yahushua or Jesus Christ is certainly not God. But last time I checked, a son bears the likeness of his father. Isn't that what Christ said to Philip? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. See, we have to understand something. There's a psychological game being played here. That's why when the so-called white man came to these shores here in the Americas, he bore the image of Cesare Borgia. Because if you worshiped white Christ and then you saw a white slave master and you saw his children, you saw his wife, by proxy, they're gods too. And that's one of the reasons why the white man can walk around in black neighborhoods, no one lays a hand on him. He can walk around with money falling out his pocket in the roughest of hoods, and ain't nobody gonna touch him. Because in their mind, that's who he is. Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. For the longest time, the Most High God allowed this lie to be perpetuated throughout the earth. He allowed it to inculcate our people or indoctrinate them. But now the Most High God is bringing the truth, and this wicked devil is being exposed, and they're scrambling. See, now the name of the game is, well, now we're all Israelites, huh? Right? We're all Jews. Nah. But that's why understanding the scriptures and understanding the history of what has been done to displace us is very important. Right? And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. See, this is why we call them the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's why we call them that, because their workings are after Satan. Satan just means adversary. The spiritual demon Satan is a appointed adversary, not just to the Israelites, but to all men that walk the earth, but specifically the Israelites, because we're the only people who matter in the eyes of the Most High God. Right? And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So for those of y'all who love nothing more than to throw your tithe into the collection plate on a Sunday and worship white Jesus, you gonna pay for that shit. For real, for real. Because the knowledge is going out that the likeness of the Messiah is not what they tell you in the so-called Christian church. He is not a white man. He is not an Asian man. Right? But let's move on with some of these scriptures so we can demonstrate what he looks like. All right? So we're going to go to Daniel 7. But let me make sure there's no more meat on this bone. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to read this because one of the things that I want to go ahead and just nip in the bud is that if you are able to see through the facade of all the lies, it's because you've been chosen to see through it. But this is 2 Thessalonians 2:13. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God had from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel, to the attaining of the glory of the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. So if you receive the truth of how our Messiah actually looks, and when you say Yahushua HaMashiach, you think of a so-called black man with white woolly hair, skin of burned brass, voice of many waters, with eyes of fire. If that's who you think of, you better give double praise to the Most High God, if such a thing is possible, because he selected you to receive that truth. Now, to all you folks out there who don't get it, and you still buck dancing and cooning, well, you were selected to not get it. But let's move on. So we're going to go ahead and go to Daniel. Or is that Daniel 9? It might be Daniel 9. Hold up. That's the Ancient of Days. Salakia. That's the Most High. Right? So if you want to know that God is black, you got that before I pull off. Yeah. You've got Daniel 7 and 9, and then you've got Revelations 4 and 2 that you can read. And it lets you know that the Most High God is obviously a so-called man of color. Because if he has a throne to sit on, he has a body to sit on the throne with. And that body looks like something. Hell, you can even see the likeness of the Most High God in Ezekiel 1. That's neither here nor there. Let's get this in Daniel 9. Haven't gone over this in quite some time. It's the milk. That's why you gotta keep going over it. Right? But this is Daniel 10 and 5. Then I lift up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. His body was like the beryl, in his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So he was a so-called black man who was loud as hell. So we have yet another witness who's saying that this image is not true. So why are we still acting as if this is just an idea that's being contested by multiple parties and we're not certain on what the truth is? We certainly know that this is not Yahushua. This is not Jesus Christ. I'm even willing to go out on a limb and say this is not even what Serapis Christos looks like, right? But we can definitely say this is not the likeness of Jesus Christ or his real name, Yahushua. And that's according to the scriptures, right? But now we're going to go through some of these scriptures and we're going to start pulling out pictures. And I'm going to get accounts of, researchers or, firsthand accounts of people who lived in certain times, right? There's a book that all Israelites need to get. And I'm going to bring it up right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it. Is there a chat function on here? I don't know how to do this shit. Okay, that ain't working nothing. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna bring this book up. Yes, John Mackey. There you go. Now I want to show you something, right? I want to illustrate my point. You see what I typed in? Secret Service of John Mackey PDF. We're gonna try to find it very, very briefly. You'll see that it's hard to find this book unless you know what you're looking for. Now, I'm not even sure if this is the actual book here, but I don't think it is because it's just Book of Matthew, and that's not what the title is. But we're not going to wait on that. I want to take you to DuckDuckGo, and we're going to do the exact same search, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. It's the first search, and it's on a government-sponsored website. And you can download it as a PDF. You can download it as text, an EPUB, multiple formats. Right? But this is a book that anybody who's trying to substantiate the point that we were the rulers of Europe, you need to have this book. Because this was the writings of a spy. And he was writing the likeness of nobility in the royal court in the 1600s. Right? And that, like it says here, during the reign of King William and King George I. So during this time, he was writing the likeness of some of these people. We're going to get some of these likenesses while I have it up here. But I'm going to keep going throughout the Bible real quick because I'm going to demonstrate it's never been a secret that the real Israelites have always been black. As a matter of fact, if you look on Google, they let you know that Adam, Noah, all these different people were black. Now, this is under the frequently asked questions part on Google, the front page. What character in the Bible is black? Noah was a dark-skinned person. McKissick said that other notable biblical characters such as Adam, Eve, Solomon, Joshua. So I have a question, right? If Adam and Eve, according to the Christian belief of them being the first two people on the planet, were so-called dark-skinned or black, how in the hell did everybody turn white? How did that happen? And it even says that people like Noah were black. So, there's certain people that will just outright admit that Noah was black. Ham, Shem, and Japheth were dark skinned. Again, where did all these so-called pale people come from? But the only pale figure that you read about being born in the Bible is Esau in Genesis 25. So the only person that was ever described as being a clean leper, born white, is Esau. And therefore his children, you would assume, would be similar, if not the same. Now, the argument is that Esau went and married the women of other nations, but you have to understand, if you have generational albinism, which it seems that's what Esau had, he had a certain mark upon him. Now, those of y'all who are more, I guess, well versed in the scriptures, you would know that as the mark of Cain, right? Because the Bible never directly states what the mark of Cain is. But from the way it's phrased, you would know the mark upon seeing the person with it. And what better way to mark somebody than to take their melanin away in a world full of so-called black people, to be walking around as the only white man on the planet, to pass that mark down through his children or his spiritual successors. See, those of us who know about regeneration, it gives you a distinctive advantage where you can look back and see where the first instance of that mark that Esau had when he was born, being without melanin, being red all over like a hairy garment. You can look into the scriptures and you can see, oh, that's obviously the mark of Cain. Because Cain was a murderer who killed his brother, and Esau wanted to be a murderer. He wanted to kill his brother, but the Most High God turned his heart when he finally did come across Jacob, after Jacob had already supplanted him. But let's get some of this in the Bible. We're going to go to Song of Solomon, chapter 1. And there's a mistake that some of us make where we read this in Songs of Solomon and we think it's Solomon saying this, and it's not. This is one of the daughters or one of the women saying that she is black and comely. But let's go ahead and read it. This is Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 5. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. So this woman was tasked with a job that basically required her to be outside. And anybody who happens to be melanated, who goes outside in a very sun-exposed area, you got to remember, they were in Israel, right? Somewhere in Israel or anywhere like near Egypt, sun exposure is extremely high. So that means this woman would have been very black, very dark. And this is something that we say today. We are black and beautiful. This is just one instance of the Israelites being demonstrated to be black. But we're going to see some other areas, right? We're going to go to Lamentations. And then after we pull a couple more scriptures, we're going to go ahead and look at some pictures. And we're going to pull up something else too, because the concept of ruddy. So we're going to look up ruddy rubies. So let's see. We have our ruddy rubies here. And then ruddy cow. Actually, you know what? Because they try to say ruddy means red. This is an excellent example of what it means to be ruddy. You see how they're brown, obviously, right? They have very darkly melanated skin, but it has a reddish tinge to it, similar to my skin, actually, ironically enough. But that's the concept of ruddy that we're gonna run into in Lamentations 4. Let's go ahead and read it. This is Lamentations 4 and 7. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Now, this is where people get confused, where it says they were whiter than milk. This just means they were pure. They were righteous, because it dispels the confusion in the very next statement. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. So we have the description of these people as ruddy like rubies. You have some almost purplish tones. You have brownish, almost somewhat, kind of a lighter mixed black type tone, but these are very earthy tones, right? That's what this is describing. But what did they look like in the middle of a famine? Verse 8, their visage is blacker than a coal. Their visage, their appearance is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. One thing that you will see, actually, you know what? So I don't want nobody going, oh, you looking up Hamites, nigga. So I'm gonna go to Nigeria, right? You see these kids. A lot of people in Nigeria are our people. And you see here that their skin is extremely dark. That's one of the things that they don't tell you about is what the multi-purposes of the melanin in our skin. It does all types of interesting things, from binding to toxins to being a natural antioxidant. But it's also very photoreceptive in many different ways. And when we start to starve, our skin turns very, very dark. It also turns really dark when you're poisoned as well. Trying to see if I can find anybody who does. Yeah, you got it. Cool. So one of the things that happens with diabetes is your body is not able to properly process sugar. Whether you have you have an overabundance of sugar, where your insulin secretions in your body aren't enough, or your pancreas doesn't secrete insulin at all, and the sugar is just in your bloodstream. Sugar in your bloodstream produces toxic effects on the body, right? That's why your body has to metabolize it and basically convert it into things it can use or get rid of. But if it can't do that, your body starts doing all types of things to try to curb the toxicity. And one of those ways is your melanin shows symptoms on your skin. That's one of the reasons why you can tell certain folks are dealing with diabetes way before they say it. When they have the dark circles around their eyes, they got the dark ring around their neck. Sometimes they have dark patches on their body, right? But that's what happens to us when we're dealing with mainly hardship of the body that's very prolonged. Typically, we will turn blacker, especially if we're exposed to the elements or we're being actively poisoned. But we see here in Lamentations 4, the Israelites are obviously described as a very dark people, a black people. So the question again, and I'm going to keep asking it as I give this brief lesson, is who in the hell is this guy right here? And for all of this talk about people loving Christ and all that, ain't nobody going to leave their kids with this dude. Because you know what he going to do as soon as you leave. He going in. This is that camp counselor that you saw on the news a couple of years ago And they made every excuse for him about why he got 100 victims. This is who this is, right? That's why this is, we obviously know this is not the Son of God. Not to mention, it is not within their character to do the things that Christ did. And I'm not just talking about Christ's bravery, but his willingness to sacrifice himself for his own nation. This is not something that these people are willing to do. They'll enslave an entire civilization simply so that they can farm crops. Think about that. Because they have an aversion to the sun and they can't do it themselves, they will uproot you from your homeland, slaughter hundreds of millions of your people, transport you to a land where you don't speak the language, you don't know the land, and they will work you to death for nothing. They will do all of that. And yet I'm supposed to believe that the Messiah to the entire world, so-called, right? Because they say he was sent to the world. The Messiah of the world is the very same people who are responsible for most of the world's ills. Just know, right? But we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over to Acts 13. This is another milk scripture, but this is one that everybody who's new to the truth, new to the truth, new to the truth, is going to know, right? Now there were in the actually, you know what? Stackin. I forgot to bring it up. I'm gonna bring it up on blue letter, right? Because there's two things I want to do while I bring this out. We're going to look at another translation, and we're going to look at what Niger means. So let's do this. Bam. And then bam. Yeah, ESV. Where's the NLT? Yeah, it's right here. Bam. I'm going to read it in the KJV first, and then we're going to read it in the NLT. This is Acts 13:1 in the KJV. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch in Saul. Right? So these two people, these two prophets, two Israelites, were called Niger, Niger. Now, I know some people go, no, that's Niger. That's Niger. Okay, cool. That sounds real familiar. I think I was right. But what does it mean? Black. Just means black. Who are the only people on the planet called black? Negroes. Right? And they call us black in a lot of different places. And this is for some of you Israelites who are trying to find the confusion of face. These are the Zanj people in the southeastern areas of Africa, like Zanzibar and all those places, right? The Zanj were taken into slavery in the Silk Road slave trade and in the sub-Saharan slave trade, really. But these are Negroes who are in those areas. The Zanj are our people, and guess what Zanj means? Oh, it means country of blacks. Interesting. What did the Bible say that would happen to the Israelites? Because, see, you would assume that if they were our people, surely the school system of America would have taught us those things, right? Right. This is Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So because we angered the Most High God, he delivered us into the hands of our enemies, and we discontinued from our heritage. Our heritage is not just the Bible, but our history and knowledge of who we once were and who we are in the present. So we have completely discontinued from our heritage, and we have been scattered. gonna show y'all one more thing before I move on. What do they call them in Thailand? The Manic people. There it is. Oh, it's Sakai. I always say Sakai, right? That means slave. It don't mean no damn barbarism. I swear these niggas stay lying, bro. Stay lying. Like, damn. There we go. So the Manic people are an ethnic group of Thailand. They are more widely known in Thailand as the Sakai, which you know means slave, a controversial derogatory term meaning barbarism. It just, I swear these people keep lying. And they're gonna keep on lying. You know why? Because they don't want you to know who you are. They don't want you to know that it wasn't just a so-called white man who abused your people either. All the heathen did. That's why Jeremiah 30:16 says, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. And all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. Every single one of them. See, that's why Yahushua is coming back to judge and make war. He has to make war with the people who put us in slavery. Not just in the present, but throughout history. They got to get their judgment. Right? But if you've been paying attention, you've got some terms here that you can write down. You've got the Manik or the Mani. They're also called the Sakai in Thailand. You've got the Zanj in Africa. You've also got this term here that you'll see throughout Asia called the Negrito people. Right? They sometimes call them pygmies as well. There's a game that some of y'all should be familiar with. And it's going to make a lot more sense why they have these things in the game. The game called Dark Souls, right? The first and most ancient race in the Dark Souls universe are the Pygmy Lords. They're short black people. They're the Negritos. See, everybody knows your history, Jake, except for you. That's why when you look in all these different nations, they have different terms for all these people. Got it from you. Whether it be in China, but the Kunlun people, or the Manchu people. In Japan, the Ainu people. I believe in Asia, they got the Jomon people. Shit, hold on one second. I know I said I wasn't going to spend too much time on this, but shit, man. This is something that a lot of people don't know about. Now, the Jomon people might be Japhetic, right? But they are not the so-called Yayoi people that are over in Japan now, proclaiming to be Japanese. Right? They were a different subset of people. This is a good example of the Jomon people right here. Right. See, it's very important to understand that most of these countries, they're never going to let you know who's in their nations. They're not going to, because the objective is to erase you from history. Right? Now, if you ever wonder where the Russians got their little fuzzy hats from, the little black hats, the same black hats that they wear actually in the Royal Guards in the UK, right? Where they got that from? Well, they got it from these people, the Afro-Abkhasians. I can't spell the shit, but I know it exists. Here's a picture of them right here. Now, this is not What they'll tell you, this is a African man that they brought over here as a slave. No, these are the people who are in the land. Once upon a time, they were the people ruling in the land. Right? They're not going to tell you who these people are. You're going to have to read up on their history yourself. But see, that's the Most High God allowing this truth to be propagated out so that we can learn the truth, right? Because this is still on the internet. As hard as it is to find it, because you have to know this term here. You have to know something that points you back to these people. Right? And you have to understand, yeah, they took this brother's site down. Real history. Oh, it's not on real history? Oh shit. Hold up now. Hold up now. See, when the Bible says that we were scattered to all nations, the Bible did not exaggerate that. We are in every land on the planet. But wherever the heathen have power, they have subjugated us to a varying degree, whether it is putting us in abject slavery or forcing us to assimilate and serve their gods, even if they are not actively oppressing us with rigor. But one of the reasons why Pharaoh was told to let the Israelites go was because they needed to serve the Most High God without impedance. And the Most High God meant it to the extent that he destroyed Pharaoh and his armies and plagued them with 10 plagues. So you have to understand the Most High God is very serious about us, no matter what land we're in, serving him in spirit and in truth and keeping the law. Anybody standing between us and doing that, they will be punished for it. But so we see another group of people, the Afro-Abkhasians. Now, yeah, they colored that photo. See, this information is going out, man. This information is going out. But the sad part is most of our people are never going to learn this information because, quite frankly, they don't read. And as a result, they don't know to look up things like tawny, swarthy, those type of words that will tie them back to their history. And I'm as a matter of fact, something the spirit is telling me to go and just search some of these things, show some of these things, because I bring up a lot of this when I'm teaching on the streets, right? Oh, oh, that's what it is. It's not hamburgers, Hasper. See, that's why if you ever have a chance to go throughout Europe and some of these dare I say ancient buildings, right? Because at this point you might as well call them ancient. If they're over 3, 4, 500 years old, they're ancient, right? But these buildings of antiquity, a lot of them have black faces on them, and if the faces on them are not black, chances are, if they are the original faces, they have been destroyed. Right? This is an example of iconoclasm. Right? Now, I do want to go and get that picture so I can show you where I got it from. Hold on one second. Actually, you know what? Defaced statues. See, one of the reasons why, when Napoleon and his forces, and even the Romans, when they came into Egypt, they were defacing a lot of the statues and the monuments. It's because they bore the likeness of black people in general. When I say black people, I'm including Negroes and Hamites. right? The Shemites and the Hamites. I'm including those people, right? They defaced these statues because the Romans were the last ones. Well, I don't want to say the last because today's Egyptians are not predominantly Roman. Most of them are Arab. But during the time of the New Testament, Egypt was a province of the Roman Empire, right? And with it being part of the Roman Empire, they wanted the statues and the monuments and things of that nature to bear the likeness of those in power. So they took to it with gusto, defacing all of these statues and monuments throughout Egypt. And they did this the same way that they defaced statues in Europe. Type that ancient one here. Um, Charles. Now, this is an eight, or this is a relic, right, from the 18th century, right? They want to say this is racist, but the thing is, when King Charles was called Black Boy, King Charles II, he was called Black Boy. This is what's really racist right here, because this man did not look like this, and we're gonna prove it. All right, where is that book that I brought up? I know we're all over the place, but I'm trying to cover a lot. Trying to cover a lot. This is Charles, Duke of St. Albans, and this is from the book. As a matter of fact, before I do that, let me get you the book title and the entry number, because I don't think the pages and the entry numbers necessarily line up. I have the book. It's a very roughly printed book. So, but this is the Memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mack during the reign of King William and Queen Anne and King George I. Right? And this is entry 40. Charles, Duke of St. Albans, is son to King Charles II by Miss Gwynn, was made by a King. Damn, all this is like all types of messed up. King William. You know, I'm just gonna read the damn book. Hold up. Let me grab my book. Right, we got the book here. And see, when they cut this internet off, guys, you gonna need some of these books. We need to at least have 2 and 3 witnesses, man. And everybody talk about being strapped and having a blicky and all this other dumb shit. You need to be strapped with some books, because there's gonna come a point where you're not gonna be able to turn this internet on and get edified, right? There's gonna come a point where you're gonna just have to know this stuff, or you're gonna have a physical copy of whatever you're trying to reference. But this is Charles, Duke of St. Albans, is son to King Charles II by Miss Gwynn, was made by King William, one of the bedchamber and captain of the band of pensioners, and sent by the king to France to congratulate the marriage of the Duke of Burgundy. He is a gentleman, every way, debon natural, well bred, doth not love business, is well affected to the constitution of his country. He is of a black complexion, not so tall as the Duke of Northumberland, yet very like King Charles, turned of 30 years old. So it describes King Charles, and I assume it's in reference to King Charles II because that's who's mentioned in the first paragraph. But either way, if King Charles II is very black, How in the hell is his father white? And not to mention, this is supposed to be King Charles. And when have you ever known a so called white man to have hair like this? This is why you have to understand what iconoclasm is and what has happened to our people. Because if you don't understand that there was an active attempt to overwrite and write us out of history entirely, you will see this picture, you'll take it at face value, and you will assume the people in England just happen to be always white, Scotland always white, Ireland always white. Now, what people don't often know is the crowns of Ireland, Scotland, Britain, Wales, and France were all united at one point in time. Typically, a king looks like the people that he rules over, unless he has inserted himself as an authority over a subjected people. That is not the case for King Charles II. So he is going to look like the people that he rules over. Hence why you have things like this hanging around in Europe. Pictures that show him as black. And now you have white folks who are saying these things are racist and need to be taken down. When have we known these so-called people to cry racism on a monument of sorts and take it down voluntarily without kicking and screaming? Never. But the reason why they're willing to do this now is because some of these things point out the real nature of them, or it points out our real history in a certain region. I'm gonna turn on the air, baby. It's hot. But it's 8 degrees in here, man. But you see that obviously King Charles was not a so-called white man. Now we're gonna keep going through some of these books. All right. So we're gonna go to this book, Babylon the Timbuktu. Everybody needs to have that book because it's going to be the book that you can use to substantiate that we were the so-called Christians of antiquity. We were the Jews that were facing oppression in ancient Judea under the Romans. This is from Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84, paragraph 2. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius Salakia, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Again, this is your history that is everywhere. It's written about by a lot of different historians, scholars, and writers in general. But some way, somehow, it never comes up when you're in school, when you go to college. It never comes up in discourse of history. As a matter of fact, a lot of people try to say, well, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter now, of course, to the general population or those who are in control. It don't matter to them because guess what? The given is that everybody thinks they're white. That's the given. That's why you have to verify. Because if you don't verify, they are going to lie to you. Right? They are going to lie to you if you do not verify. We're going to go into this book a little bit. Undeniable by Dante Fortune. Full color evidence of black black Israelites in the Bible. All right. Oh, there's one more thing. One more thing. Okay. Acts 26. This is probably one of the best entries here if you are trying to make the case for us ruling in Europe, especially Spain and Portugal. Right? This is one of the best entries that you can pull. This is for Daniel, Earl of Nottingham, Secretary of State, his eldest son to Mr. Finch, Lord Chancellor in the reign of King Charles II. This gentleman never made any considerable figure till the Revolution, when he zealously opposed King William's coming to the throne, yet was made Secretary of State by that prince, to oblige the church, of which he sets up for a mighty champion. We're going to go to the fifth paragraph for this. He had also the exterior air of business and application enough to make him very capable, and his habit and manners very formal. A tall, thin, very black man. So he's described as being tall and thin and very, very darkly melanated. A very dark Negro man. Now, this is what really substantiates that Spain was once ruled by our people. Like a Spaniard or a Jew, about 50 years old. So once upon a time, it was well known that if you were talking about so-called Judah or the Southern Kingdom, you was talking about niggas. It was once well known. As a matter of fact, it was so well known that people like Benjamin Franklin basically told you that most of Europe was black. People in, I don't know. Yeah. There it is. All right. That you can still find on Google. This is a 14-page letter written by Benjamin Franklin. All right. And he talks about so this is from the Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, Peopling of Countries by Benjamin Franklin. This is on, well, page 10, really, which leads me to add one remark in paragraph 3, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionately very small. Now, he said something that's in the Bible. This is Obadiah 1:1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, the Edomites. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So not only are these people widely hated, but they're very small in terms of their aggregate numbers. Yeah, I don't even know where that's coming from. Yeah, but you can't ask Google this shit because it's gonna lie to you. Because the so-called or the Edomites, I'll just say that the Edomites have branded people different names, different titles, right? You wouldn't assume that the Polynesian people in Hawaii are related to the Polynesian people in Indonesia. According to their demographic breakdowns, they have no correlation whatsoever, even though they are the same people by blood. So by doing that, they'll break up a group of people and say, see how small they are? And then they'll add a bunch of people to themselves. One of the things that happens here in America is it doesn't even matter what you look like. If you're a black Egyptian coming from Egypt, you could be counted as white. This is from the University of Toronto. Most Middle Eastern and North African Americans don't identify as white, despite what U.S. Census says. So people are coming to America, don't even look white. They're not white, but they're being counted as white. You have to understand. They're trying to get away from this. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. They're trying to pretend as if they are some sort of majority when they are not. Right. So I want to go ahead and go into this book, Undeniable. And we're going to look at some pictures, and then we're going to try to search for the corresponding picture by name. We're going to see the whitewashed version of it, right? We're going to see the whitewashed version of it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm really surprised they didn't whitewash this. Really surprised, because it shows King David with his musicians, and they're all Negroes. Usually, pictures like this, they get whitewashed with quickness, but it looks like they didn't get to this one. Now, you notice they're trying to say the sons of Ham here. See, that's another way that they'll do it, right? They'll link it to the Hamites because the curse of Ham they think is black skin. See, that's how they say everybody in the Bible was white, and then you got these niggas who came up and they're cursed. Because what is the curse of Ham? To be a servant of servants. And that's one of the reasons why they try to say, see, you blacks, you're slaves everywhere you go. You're just servants of servants. It's all you are. But they do that because they understand that they're layering the lie that they tell. They have to convince you that you're not an Israelite. They have to separate you from your history, and then they have to give you something to replace it, something that's real. Because if they told you were a Martian, eventually you're going to figure out, wait a minute, I come from the earth just like everyone else. And of the earth and peoples, which people do I come from? And then you're going to disregard what they say, and you'll probably find the truth fast. So what they have to do is they have to give you a half-baked truth that's layered in a bunch of lies. And that's what they do. But you see all these different images. I'm just trying to see what can I even get to this the site? Okay, yeah, that's true. All right. Come on. All right. Either way. So we see here that we see these Bristol Salter images. Now I want to know, where are these let's do that. Really surprised they didn't whitewash all these, man. So yeah. Oh, so it makes sense. This is in Istanbul, Turkey. I can't say it. Istanbul, Turkey, right? But this is in an area of the world where I'm not saying that the heathens there have any more favor for us, but when it comes to whitewashing imagery, they're not as dedicated as their European counterparts, right? The so-called white folks in Europe and in America and in certain parts of Eastern Europe, certain parts, they are very keen on erasing anything black or defacing it or minimalizing it to the point where you would assume it's just one guy, right? And I'm gonna show an example, exactly what I'm talking about. Right? Saint Maurice. Now, look, now I want you to see this. I'm glad I clicked on this. Look at this. They've whitewashed a man who's named Maurice. When the name Maurice means Moor or black. Even when they're dead to rights and there's in no good way that they can paint over the image or whitewash the image, they will do so anyway. You know why? Because they're stupid. The heathen are lacking in wisdom and they will lie about anything, even things that are straightly and directly stated. They'll lie anyway, simply because it doesn't favor them, right? But let's read about Saint Maurice. Right? Was an Egyptian. He was an Egyptian military leader. Now, was he Egyptian by way of being born in Egypt, or was he actually ethnically Egyptian? Because what does it mean to be ethnically Egyptian in the third century? As a matter of fact, who was in control of Egypt in the third century? I think it was the Romans, right? And where did Mary and or Joseph and Mary? Let me get the order right. Man for the woman. But where did Joseph, Mary, and Yahushua go when they were trying to hide from the persecution of Herod? Oh, they went to Egypt. Oh, okay. So they were able to go to Egypt and hide among the people. Why? Because the ethnic sons of Mitzrayim, the real Egyptians, bear enough of a likeness to us that we can hide amongst them. But depending on what source you look at, they're going to tell you that St. Maurice looks like this. And if you're a young kid learning in social studies or a history class, whether it be in high school or college, chances are you're going to believe your professor. You're going to believe the author of the book because he's going to have PhD next to his name. See, these folks, they play a very, very cutthroat game, right? It's a ruthless game that they're playing, and they don't care about the casualties. They only care about the preservation of the lie itself. Lives be damned. That's why the Bible says this. And actually, now that we got a second, let's bring out a scripture. This is Revelations 1 and 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Now, this is not just someone who reads the Bible, right? An Israelite who's got his nose in the Bible every day, You're certainly blessed, but you would be blessed to read in general, right? Number of things get increased when you read, not just your wisdom and understanding of what you're reading about, but your ability to convey your thoughts, right? The amount of words that you can wield that conveys the resolution of your thoughts. What does the word resolution mean? All right, let's look that up. The conversion of something abstract into another form. So, to be able to convert your thoughts into a communicable message so that what's in here can be interpreted by somebody who is a listener. If you know very basic words or very few words, your ability to articulate your thoughts will be extremely limited. And as a result, the resolution of your thoughts will be very basic, very crass, barbaric. But if you know a lot of words, the conveyance of your thoughts will have subtlety, depth, subtext, right? See, these things are very important. See, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't quite understand because no one's teaching these types of things to them. But I wouldn't expect my enemies to teach me my history. But blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are the only people on the face of the planet. And I'm talking about the scattered diaspora as well, because you got to understand, anywhere where our people are scattered, they're not in charge. And if they want to go to school and learn something, they have to go and get taught by their enemies. And why is that? Why is that according to the Bible? We're going to do more pictures, I haven't forgot. But we need to understand the nature of chastisement that we are under from the Most High. This is Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Which curse am I referring to specifically? This is Deuteronomy 28:47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. You want to learn about history? You go into your enemy for it. You want to learn what somebody looked like in antiquity? Your enemy's going to tell you. He's going to lie to you too. Sometimes he'll send somebody who looks just like you to lie to you too. And it'll be some Negro who thinks he's made it, suit and tie, pulling up in a nice car, got PhD, MD, all that shit next to his name. He'll be quick to tell you, shit, I went to school X amount of years, I make X amount of money, I live in X neighborhood, I rub shoulders with these people. How dare you say I'm wrong when you challenge him? But you're going to your enemies in want of all things, including your history. And that's why most of you niggas don't know nothing. Because you don't understand, you got to go to the source, and that is the Bible. You need to seek out the old paths. This is Jeremiah 6:16. Thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. And that's exactly what niggas do today. We cry out to them on the highways and byways, and we try to let them know, hey, you the royalty around here. You the one with the real history that can be proven that you are the royalty around here. But they say we will not walk therein. I don't want to hear that shit. I ain't got time. Got something else to do. Man, my cousin, he one of y'all black Hebrew Israelites. I don't listen to y'all. You'll hear it all. Sometimes it's just as simple as I got my white woman with me, and I don't have time for you, brother. All the same. All right. Now, I want to see if this image right here. Oh, they got those. Hey, they got the same picture I brought up. Hey, yeah, see, good look. But either way, this picture right here is the oldest known image of Yahushua. It's in Cairo, Egypt. You can barely make out the pictures. Man, my camera, man, shit's so blurry. But we gonna try to find it on here. Would you look at that? All you have to do is know how to look this up. But what if you don't know to look up oldest depiction of Christ in Cairo, Egypt? And all you know to look up is oldest depiction of Christ. All of a sudden, he's turned white. You see this? You see this? And all I have to do is say in Egypt. Now, look, you got one brother right here on Pinterest. He done made the little cut here. But other than that, most of these images are of Caesar Borgia. I mean, this is incredible, man. It's incredible. All you have to do is know 2 or 3 extra words. And all of a sudden, you're dealing with the real Israel. But if you don't know to look that up, then you're fucked. And I said it that way for a reason. You are completely screwed if you do not know the terminology to use on these search engines. And you're just going to Wikipedia, doing front page Google research. You're going to be screwed if you don't know what you're doing. And it's done that way intentionally so that you will not peel back the layers and realize that things like this are a lie. It's a lie. And you can tell that they were having to paint over imagery. Why? Because you see the hair. The hair doesn't bear the likeness of the people that they're saying that it belongs to. Well, he has the afro. When do white people have afros? This was another way that they would often hide it. They might put a hood on someone's face and make the hair blend in to a hood. So now you think they just have a round hooded head, and that's just the artist's style. But this is a Renaissance style for a reason. They were looking at our artistry in painters like Leonardo da Vinci, Donatello, Michelangelo, all the so-called classic Renaissance artists. These were the types of art styles that they had. They might take the afro and they might put some little texturing on it and then put a little tail in the back. Do a little rat braid or some shit, rat tail coming down to cover up the fact that obviously he had an afro. And see, and there are some of these that they can't even lie about. All right, check this out. It's called the Moors versus the Wild Men. You see the black nobility in the castle? You see the Moors firing their arrows and throwing their weapons and all that stuff. They're fighting against these people. And you see these Edomites who have no clothes on, they just have body hair. and they're coming with sticks and rocks and clubs, and they're just besieging these castles. You have to understand something. We were decimated by the Black Plague. We were being decimated by infighting. Hell, we were being decimated by the fact that Jake wanted white women above everyone else. That was particularly prolific in areas like Germany, right? That's one of the ways that the aristocracy of Germany, when we ruled it, became white or white looking, where they had Negroid features with pale skin, red hair, blue eyes, all that type of shit. We were completely sold on the idea of whitening ourselves up. Uh, Moorish culture. This is a Habsburg progenitor holding the family crest. Sardinia. Where's Sardinia at? Where is this? It's near Italy, I think. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, near Corsica and shit. Okay, cool. Now, see, here's the thing. If you don't know these terms, you'll never be able to find the evidence that your people were the rulers. You'll never be able to find it. And they know it. They know it. You got France. You got all types of German heraldry. Now, there's a little trick that they like to pull when it comes to heraldry. There's a little trick they like to pull, right? I'm going to show you this one right here. They've got these newer heraldry images that they put online. And what they do is they take a knight and they close the helmet, right? I think I have a book on this. So give me one second. I'm trying to find it for y'all. Mm-hmm. Ah, this is the one with the images. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna finish that letter by Ben Franklin. That little excerpt that we were pulling. Yeah, I don't like that hallucination. I don't very well. Yeah. Um, yep, this is from Germany right here. Yep. Crest of the Kitschberg family and the crest of Friesen are Frezing, Zurich, or Zuricher I can't say that shit, bro. But anyway, you get the gist. These are black people. Remember what I was saying? You got the little knight helmet right there, and a lot of times you would have a face of some sort, even if it was in the shield itself. But see, they whitewashed a lot of these images, right? You have to understand they were whitewashing all of this stuff. They had to erase you, Jake. And see, the erasure didn't happen all at once. See, one of the things that they don't even talk about is a lot of the erasure happened very recently. Right? When you look at China, you would assume that the current government in China has been in power for thousands of years. No, they haven't. China stopped having emperors as of the early 1900s. I believe it's like 1901, something like that. And before that, Slocky, the the Manchu people were in charge. The Manchu people go back to they go back to the Negro people who were in China. When you look up people like Shinon, hmm, how did I have to phrase it? No, 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 no. Well, this individual Shinon, right? He is he's pretty much a legendary figure in China, right? The person who basically innovated most of their medicine, um, tea, all types of different schools of thought. But see, that's who Jake is when we go to other nations, right? That's who we are. But let's keep going through this. Obviously, a black man. You can see they defaced it. All right. You can see they defaced it. Jake wilding out, man, but he was there. You can see by the bushy hair, the big nose, and that soft chin and turn to the side. See, when you look up eugenics, one of the things that they were doing, they were measuring the cranial structure of so-called Negroes and other races. So they knew the signs to look for. The fact that on the side profile, you could see inside of our nostrils because our nostrils are upturned and the septum is descended. That is a Negroid trait. That don't mean you're necessarily a Negro, but it is a Negroid trait. That's where you get that from. You would get that from either, being a Negro man, and having Negro fathers, obviously, or being a heathen who has procreated with Negroid women. See, eugenics taught them a lot, mainly how to find us. And when I say us, I mean the Israelites. The real reason that eugenics really vanished was because eugenics started to demonstrate that we were better than them on every level. If you want to talk about, you know, uh, neural density of the brain, the ability to communicate from, neuronal, how do I term this? Um, like how quick it takes your neurons to basically communicate with your muscles, nerve transmission in the body. See, what they don't tell you is they already know that your melanin is not just in your skin, it's in every organ of the body. And melanin in and of itself aids in the process of neural transmission. They know this. That's why your people are the fastest. Your people jump the highest. Your people think with the most creativity and the largest scale. Jake can think hundreds of years into the future if he can be properly taught how to do that, have foresight. But that's exactly why they don't teach you any of those things, because they need you deaf, dumb, and blind. So you'll believe when they paint this image right here white, you'll believe it. You see that? See that brother right there? Obviously black. Look at that. Mm-hmm. But see, what they'll tell you is, yeah, that person's a slave. Look at that. Slaves don't have heraldry, by the way, because heraldry is supposed to tell the tale of a house of nobility, or a house in general. It's like pictured genealogy. Right? We're back to square one, and then this is the breakdown of each one, time period. There's something I want to get out of mind, because largely the people who have destroyed our image is the nation of Edom. And the Most High God is aware of the deception that they have done to us and the entire world. This is Ezekiel. Actually, no, let me bring it up here. Right. This is one of the reasons why we let the Edomites in particular know that y'all are going to pay for what you did to us. This is Ezekiel 36 and 1. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh thy power. Because the enemy hath said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, Thus saith Yahweh thy power. Because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you may be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, unto the word are hear the word of Yahweh thy God. Thus saith Yahweh thy power to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey and a derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh thy power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, or the Edomites, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. We have borne their shame. See, the Most High God is aware of all the the stealing that they've done, taking the land, taking our likeness and our heritage, and trying to put it on themselves like Leatherface. And I'm gonna tell you, whenever I look at Edomites, this is what I see. Yeah, I'm a Jew. Yep, I'm from the tribe of Judah. Yup, you see my mask here and the Jew curls that I have and that I claim to be you with. Yep, Leatherface. You see my zeets that I wear, even though I can't even point in the Torah where it's at as a law. And we're not even talking about that majority of the people in Israel today are secular. They don't believe in God, period. But that would certainly substantiate why they have the largest gay parade on the planet in Tel Aviv every year. Why they do things like the Mezitza Papeh. If you don't know what that is, don't look it up. Just gonna ruin your day. But it's why they do things like that. Because they're trying to wear our culture on themselves like this. And you need to understand something. Once upon a time, this was very, very, very real. How they would cut us in pieces and wear our skin, right? So this person has cited the Mercury, Sunday, March 17th, 1888. I remember that 2 or 3 years ago, I incidentally referred to a prominent physician of the city, or the city, wearing shoes made from the skin of Negroes. He still adhered to that custom, insisting that the tanned hide of an African makes the most enduring and most pliable leather known to man. Now you got to remember, this was in 1888, 12 years away from the turn of the century, to ease into the 1900s, or the 20th century, really. Right. I have a question, right? All these different ways they used to use our bodies. I mean, once upon a time, shit, man, they used to eat us. You mean to tell me that they stopped? Meanwhile, in the United States alone, every year you have over 800,000 children that go missing. You got over 150,000 women go missing. Now, keep in mind, most of the people who go missing are Black, Hispanic, and Native American people by and large. Because typically you can't just disappear somebody unless nobody's checking for them. And even in our case, more times than not, even if you have family who will go to the authorities ain't gonna do nothing. So they hit a dead end. There was a little boy, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, in Chicago. He got kidnapped. The kidnappers had tried to bind him with rope and he got loose and he ran away. And he told the cops when when they were, interviewing him, all that stuff, when he got returned to his parents. But he told them that he was in a place where there were, It was basically like there were lots of bodies. He basically escaped. He escaped from a slaughterhouse. You have to understand, these people, if they cannot become you, they will do the next best thing. They'll chop a part of you out and put it in their body. They'll take your organs. As soon as they figure out how to do muscle fiber transplants, you best believe these Edomites are doing it. How long do you think they want to see you dunking from the free throw line? They don't want to see you doing that if they can steal that from you and do it themselves. As a matter of fact, let's finish this. Then there's one more thing I want to read, and we're gonna go back to that thing with Benjamin Franklin. So we won't move that way. Bam, and bam. Yeah. I'm gonna read it in the Bible, right? Verse 4. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord God to the mountains and to the hills, and to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey or became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, that surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumean, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Right? So we read that earlier, but I wanted to read it again because this talks about them stealing the land. Right? We're going to slide back to 35. You know what? I'm not do this button here. This is Ezekiel 35 and 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith Yahweh thy power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So these people have had a perpetual hatred for us. And even when we had served our penance, they still insisted on putting us to the sword, putting us in chattel slavery, destroying us as a people, miseducating our women. Therefore, they miseducate our children and kick the men out of the house because they don't want to submit to anyone but the slave master. All of these things are going to be requited. Every single one of the things that they've done to us, every lash that they laid on our back is going to be returned unto them. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. And I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Speaks for itself, right? Plain up on tape. So we will finish this real quick. This is an excerpt from the Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, Peopling of Countries by Ben Franklin on page 10, paragraph 3, or paragraph 24 in the whole letter, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionately very small. All Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America exclusive of the newcomers wholly so. I'm not saying all these people are Negroes. I'm saying all these people are darkly melanated, whether they be Asian, Native American, Hispanic, so-called black, Polynesian, But they ain't white though, right? And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion. What is a swarthy complexion? Oh, swarthy means dark skin. Oh, interesting. Now you see this dumb shit right here saying that this person is swarthy. What they're gonna tell you is the lightest skinned person on the planet is swarthy because they have to redefine what these words mean. Same way they tell you ruddy is a redhead who can't go out in the sun without bursting into flames. Meanwhile, the term ruddy in antiquity denoted different shades of brown within the Israelites. Right? That's swarthy. Look at that. Now, Korah, or however the fuck you say this, has some of the most racist Amalekites that I've ever seen. You'll have somebody, they'll drop coinage, they'll drop all types of iconography, they'll drop all types of sources, and then they'll just fire back with ain't no way they were black because, hey, they could have been black. Ain't no way. And they might say it in a more verbose manner, but it doesn't change the fact that that's their position. They have no evidence to the contrary. They just say, you niggas couldn't have done that. Right? But you see here that there are a lot of people out here trying to get this truth out. All right. They're really trying to get this truth out. But the reality is that if you go to the general site, Quora, and you're not in one of these sub communities where people are exchanging information amongst themselves, hell, even sometimes in the sub, I don't even know what they call it. It's not a subreddit, but it's like a sub branch or I don't know. But what they'll do is they'll join these little discussions and they'll just troll endlessly in the comments. Right? This person actually did a very good job. So like as far as what I can skim through it. Look at that. Looks like a lot of that stuff on the real history news over here, which is nice because I've been looking for it. Swarthy King stuff. You know, let's just say that. Now, look at this. Right? Somebody has taken it upon themselves to basically translate the word black into Norwegian, Swedish, Frisian, Luxembourgish. I can't say that shit. German, Danish, Yiddish. Now, what does that remind you of? I'm about to blow some of y'all mind right? Some of y'all who might not be as well versed in the confusion of face that's in the Bible, right? Schwartz. What does that mean? It means black. But what does nigger mean? What? It means Negro. Oh. So let me guess. Arnold Schwarzenegger is named Arnold Black Negro or Black Black. He's from Austria. Hmm. Isn't that weird? I'm bringing this stuff up for a reason. You have to understand we're everywhere. We are everywhere. You think that man has all that talent, all that swag, all that stage presence, the muscular physique? Roids can only get you so far. Arnold Schwarzenegger's pushing like 80 something. If he was purely roided up and that was it, that nigga would have died a long time ago. And a lot of people don't know. He got his start as a bricklayer. When he was in Austria, he was a bricklayer. He was doing hard ass labor, but he liked to bodybuild. And that's how he got noticed. He moved to America. I believe he won Mr. Universe. Like he won that shit like a handful of times. And then he started getting in movies. Conan was like his big break. But he our people. A lot of people don't know about Sylvester Stallone, the Italian stallion. He got his start in porn. But see, if you don't understand Moorish heraldry, and take note, anybody looking at my search terms, because if you don't know the terms to look up, you ain't gonna find a damn thing. You gonna find a bunch of white folks claiming to be you, and you gonna believe it. Sardinia is Italy, right? Same with Corsica, all them different areas in southern Italy. And where did the Moors occupy Italy at? Oh, Sicily. Yeah, yeah. The southern regions of Italy. Oh, yeah. See, if these are the things that you don't know, then you'll never be able to figure out who your people are. You cannot just look at how people look, because Israel is like a speckled bird. This is Jeremiah 12 and 9. Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble, all the beasts of the field come to devour. But Israel is the Most High God's heritage. And unto the Most High God, we come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. We are like a speckled bird unto the Most High God. This is Hosea 7 and 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake unturned. If you cook a cake only on one side and you don't turn it, guess what? It's going to be black on one side, and it's going to be light brown, bordering on white on the other. Next time you cook a pancake, right, before you flip it over, cook it a little longer than you normally would on that one side, and then lift it up with the spatula and look at the underside, look at the top side. This is how our people are in the eyes of God, because we've been mixing ourselves in with the women of other nations. And as a result, our children bear their likeness, although they are our people. It's very important to understand that our people are not going to be exclusively black. But it's also very important to understand that none of them are white, because white doesn't exist. That is a social construct made predominantly in America in the 1600s and propagated throughout the world from there. That's why if you go to places like say you go to Kenya, ain't nobody call nobody black in Kenya. Why? Because everybody's black. They're gonna call you according to your ethnic background. See, that's why the joke is on you, American Negro, American Hispanic, American Native American, or American Native, redundant, right? But the joke is on you. ignorant Israelite, foolish lamb. The joke is on you. You're the only one who doesn't know who you are. You're the only one. That's why when we go to India, oh shit. Some of these, some of these are. All you got to do is put Afro in front of them. Some of them, all you got to do is put Afro, and you'll find your people. You got Afro Pakistanis. You got Afro Iraqis. Oh, and you best believe they treating them people like shit over there too, just like they treat you like shit here in America. Yeah, but you best believe. And they gonna be in the ghetto. Why? Because ghetto means place where you the Jews. Um, there it is. In Italian ghetto, the quarter of a city where Jews were obliged to live in 1516. The only people who don't know who they are the Israelites because you've been discontinued from your heritage that the Most High God gave you, all because you refuse to serve Him with gleefulness and joyfulness. So the Most High God said, okay, cool, I'm going to put you in the hands of these people. They're going to brutalize you. They're going to take everything from you. And then they're going to come around you talking about they you, and you ain't you no more. It is what it is, man. But we going to get a few pictures, and we going to get up out of here, right? It's already 5 in the morning. But I didn't go to camp last Saturday because my tooth been killing me. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and put this video up. Now, we going to look this up, and we going to see if we can find this picture. We going to look at this picture right here. Right? Daniel the prophet. Daniel the prophet, 14th century, Byzantine Museum, Athens. So we're going to just look up Daniel the prophet painting first. Right? Oh, and look at the white folks come in after this shit. Watch this. I mean, it's laughable, man. It's laughable, man. These people didn't even know how to bathe. Did you know that? The Moors had to teach these people how to bathe. That's why when you read about Greco-Roman societies and the way they got these lions' manes, oh my God, are you serious? See, one of the things that they don't teach you about, a lion's mane is coarse. What the fuck is this? Like he dropped by the damn beauty salon before he had his appointment with Daniel, stared at him angrily. What is this? But if you allow them to take liberties with how this person actually looked, this is what you will come up with. They will make everything whitewashed. Everything. Even the animals. They ain't safe either. But look at this. Daniel the prophet. This is supposed to be Daniel the prophet. Daniel was a Judite. Don't know if you know that. He was of the tribe of Judah. Somebody got it right. But I'm trying to see if there's any Nope. Don't look like it. Now, we're going to try to look up this one. You have to know with specificity what to look up. Now, I'm going to put this one side by side and I'm going to go back because we saw the whitewashed version of that. I don't know if y'all caught it. That's a version of it that's whitewashed because that's exactly what that's supposed to be. You see the difference? It's subtle. But see, this will give somebody who's trying to claim that these people were so called white people, that will give them the ability to say, oh, well, the paint just happens to be a little darker, but that doesn't mean that he was so called black. Swarthy or tawny. It's just that the paint, it aged a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's supposed to be palish white, but it turned brown, even though there's a lighter hue right here and a lighter hue right there. They'll lie to your face as if you're retarded. But you just saw what I had to do. I had to look with specificity, very, very specific words, in order to get that pain to come up. And what do you know? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. See all these images, black people? See that? I want to just show what museum this is. See, and what they'll do is they'll go, oh, those are the Jew curls, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's what those are. Yeah, man. So that's not black people. See, you niggers are always trying to write yourselves into history. You're just mad because you don't got any history. Meanwhile, it's them who's writing themselves into your history. Look at that. That's in Russia. They've got Vladimir Putin on camera praying in front of a black Madonna, or at least giving a speech and posing in front of one. A black Mother Mary with a black Jesus. Ain't no secret over there who the real Israelites are. Ain't no secret anywhere, really, except for here in America, because everybody retarded over here. That's why you can see plenty of pictures of the Pope bowing down to a black Christ. Plenty of them. But when has the Pope come out in a sign of good faith and well wishes to the so-called black community to embrace them in the Catholic faith and say, hey, look, these people, they're you. Look at this black Mother Mary that I kissed the feet of. Look at this black Jesus. They've never done that. And they're never going to do that. Because if you wake up as an Israelite, you're going to give them that Ezra 4 treatment. You're going to tell them to take their asses back home. They have nothing to do to build a house unto your God. They know that. They know once you're in your right mind, you are not going to suffer them to continue to impede your ability to serve your God. We're going to pick out one more picture and then we're going to clean it up, y'all. I might do one on Egypt another day. This has mainly been Europe so far. Okay. I'm going to do the salters. Now, this is these are pictures of saints, right? This is righteous Anna of the most holy mother of God, Saint Anna, the mother of the Virgin Mary, or Mary, Slovakia, was the youngest daughter of the priest Nathan from Bethlehem, descended from the tribe of Levi. She married Saint Joachim, who was a native of Galilee, right? I'm gonna show you a picture of it. Okay? Black folks. Now we gonna try to find it. I do want to go down real quick. But, but you see, it's a mixed bag. It's very ambiguous. Right? You could go either way. If you want to say he's white, you can say he's white. If you want to say he's black, you can say he's black. You could just go with what you believe instead of actually going with what it is. It's like that intentionally, right? Let's see. What was this one? Okay. Well, anything of Saints Anna. What is that? What is this? What is that? So he's tawny or swarthy, and he got him a lily white woman. Like they'll say anything, man. You got to remember, they're making art like this today. The iconoclasm has not stopped. But look at all this, man. Look at this. Look at this. All of them. All of them just look at this. All these so-called white folks. Look at this. See again, if you don't have physical copies of these books, get ready to see a lot more of this. Get ready to see a lot more of this. They're about to come through with another wave of iconoclasm, and it's going to be done by AI. AIs are going to be going through and parsing out pictures according to their color. See, it's not enough to try to root out all of these pictures individually. Now they're going to set the machines to do it because the machine is going to be it's going to be systematic with how it does its sorting. It's altering. It's going to alter by its programming. And if it's programmed to get rid of all the imagery of so-called black or tawny people, it's going to. So I would advise any black, Hispanic, or Native Indian who might be on the fence. I mean, what is this shit? Saint Anna Wang? I didn't even know an Asian person could be a saint. You know what? I cannot leave that on the table. Hell no. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get that in Psalms 148 and Psalms 50 and 5. We gotta show who the saints are. Right? This is Psalms 148 and 14. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye the Lord. The saints are the Israelites. No one else. No one else can be a saint. See, again, if you let these heathen tell it, they get to have saints too. They get to have a prophet too. You let them tell it. This is Psalms 50 and 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Who made that covenant by sacrifice in the wilderness? Was it a mixed multitude? It was the Israelites. This is Exodus 24:1. And he said unto Moses, Come up to the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, All the words which Yahweh hath said will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Now, that altar, as you know, has 12 pillars in accordance with the children of Israel. Where's the pillar for any other nation? Where's the pillar for the Edomites or the Moabites or the Ammonites or the Hamites? Where's their pillar? Oh, they don't have one. Okay, cool. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, All that Yahweh hath said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh hath made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moses, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and they saw the God of Israel. And there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were, the body of heaven in his clearness. Only people that are here are Israelites. I'm going to keep reading them. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw God, and did eat and drink. And Yahweh said unto Moses, Come up to me in the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone. I want to say that, but tables of stone, and a law and a commandment, which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. Again, to the Israelites. So you've got the actual covenant, the blood covenant that was made, being with the Israelites. And then you have the giving of the law. Although it was given through Moses, it was conveyed unto the Israelites. So I again have to question, what is this? What is this? But if you don't know enough about your heritage, this is what they will do. And before you know it, you can't even be a saint no more, Mr. Israelite. Because there's more than enough of them. We heathen got it covered. But I'm going to go ahead and read my favorite scripture, and we're going to get up out of here, right? I got to resist the urge to yell in my apartment. So I'm going to evict. All right? So I like to read this very loudly when I conclude my lessons. This is Revelations 22:14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. I like to punctuate this lesson by saying, Call Allah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. That's all praises be unto Yahweh. In the name of his son Yahushai. Kwam Yasharala. Yeah, death to America, though. It's coming real soon. You ain't got a lot of time there. So repent. Keep the laws of God. That's your whole duty as an Israelite. If you believe that you might be an Israelite, even though people call you a heathen, hey, you know what? If you think you might be an Israelite in the spirit, confusion of faith, keep the laws of God. Actually, before I get up out of here, I got to get that one last one. We always say that's the last one, but it ain't. Not lying on purpose. Just spirit won't let you go. You know, sometimes it be like that. This is Second Ezra, chapter 3 and verse 36. Thou shalt find that Israel by name hath kept thy precepts, but not with thee. So if you believe you might be an Israelite in the spirit, don't matter what you look like. If you go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are an Israelite. Keep the laws of God. All right. Shalom. And yeah, all praises. That's how you know I'm on. I'm trying to figure out how to turn this shit on. Anyway, I'm done.